Hello everyone, I'm Jacob, a community manager with Paradox Studio Black. Our studio is working at full capacity after finishing the traditional Swedish summer break, so today's dev diary is going to cover a broad range of topics from a few different members of our development team. We'll be talking primarily about Celestial government mechanics, but we're also providing a bit more detail about border warfare and the new Wanua Governments' unique mechanics. One of the features we've been iterating on since our Mechanics of China developer diary is the Imperial treasury, or just treasury for short. A key thing we wanted to improve is how treasury flows to parts of the empire that don't have their own tax income, such as ministries. How much should a ministry receive from the emperor in treasury? Well, that would depend on the economy of the empire, which is related to the size of the realm, its development, and other factors. Absolute values like they get 10 treasury per month don't scale very well, if at all. Other centralized numbers like salaries suffered from similar issues. What makes a high salary in 876 could be a paltry sum by 1178. To provide a more scalable number instead of a fixed modifier number, we have implemented a new set of laws that distribute the treasury excess, called budget capacity, over a number of recipients. There are three categories for this centralized treasury budget. The salary budget, which is treasury that goes to all vassals and sub-vassals that should receive salaries. It is given out as gold income. The ministry budget. Each of the ministries will receive a slice of this budget as treasury income. And the military budget. Each of the holders of military province types will get a slice from this budget as treasury income, in addition to their regular treasury income that is based on taxes sent. Any unallocated budget will be income for the general treasury to be spent by the emperor as they please. You can run a budget deficit too if you desire, but it will draw from your collected treasury. Running a deficit could prove potent if you want to keep your government happy and powerful. Don't run out of treasury though, as being in treasury debt will impact you similarly to being in gold debt. How this budget is distributed among recipients is calculated via the base rate. It represents what one standard recipient of this type would receive. Each recipient can get more or less from this base rate, depending on factors such as their title rank and merit rank, but also potentially any individual modifiers. For example, say that you have a budget category that would get 100 treasury allocated to it, and it has 8 recipients, of which 6 have a base rate of 100%, and 2 have a base rate of 150. Each of the normal 6 recipients would receive 11.1 treasury per month, and the 2 higher rate recipients would receive 16.6. Now, if this base rate was calculated continuously, your treasury budget would always be perfectly balanced. But that's not how budget setting usually works in the real world, and it's kind of boring. So instead, budgets get enacted, which sets the base rate to a fixed number until a new budget is enacted in the future. Is the per recipient payout significantly less than the previous budget? People will get angry, and opinion malice. If they get more, however, they are happier. Lower and higher levels of budget allocation for each category will also provide additional effects. For example, setting your salary budget very low might encourage local corruption. How frequently you can and should enact a new budget is still something we're balancing internally. As an example, you have expanded your realm and have more vassals without a corresponding increase in tax income. You might have to give more allocation to salaries to keep everyone at the same level, but that will come out of someone else's slice. Piss off all the military governors? Or piss off all the ministers? A rough choice. Maybe running a small deficit for a while couldn't hurt. In Imperial China, many would come with suggestions for the emperor on how the budget should be distributed. Political movements will push their agenda, and a wise emperor should heed their advice. Of course, you can also increase the relative budget of your own ministry, circuit, or salary by manipulating your vassal contract. Now, let's talk a little more about a new feature that will affect the entire map, the Dynastic cycle. Let's start with the Son of Heaven, His Grace the Chinese Emperor. As a player, you will have access to 2 decisions that allow you to signal which era and which movement you favor. Being in the favored movement has an impact on the catalysts of the era and increases the effectiveness of influencing others through schemes or interactions. Similarly, the favored era also triggers catalysts, while also affecting the pro-dynasty movement's members' behavior and which era will be established when moving out of unstable eras. The AI doesn't use these decisions, however, because the AI Emperor is more malleable and follows the most powerful movement's wishes. Only if the pro-dynasty movement is in power does the Emperor choose based on personality. Civilian or economy-oriented emperors will choose advancement, while militant ones will choose expansion. For the favored movement, the AI Emperor decides based on the debate activity outcomes. We'll talk more about them and the player's impact later in the video. Based on external and internal feedback, we've decided to change some names of the eras to avoid confusion with era types and to better convey the state of the dynastic cycle. Thus, the names of eras and their types are as follows. The advancement and expansion eras are considered stable type. Tension and conquest are considered unstable, while division is considered a chaotic type. The elder and disciple relationship is an integral part of climbing the meritorious career ladder in China, and since merit is currently used only in governments with domiciles, an overview tab was added to the estates. From there, you can manage your disciples and your elder. If the elder has any other disciples besides you, you will see them listed here as well. In order to kickstart it, the game will assign the relationships at game start randomly, based on merit and being in the same movement or just realm proximity. In the next step, we've added a few shorthand interactions to more easily break existing relationships or to establish new ones. If you didn't like the starting bunch or were still under the limit, you can change them. This does mean that there is now a limit to how many people you can mentor at once. One of the reasons for this limit is that disciples always follow the elder to be part of the same movement. Thus, bringing your flock would significantly swing power and make the power struggle either trivial or volatile. However, this limit can be increased, mainly through domicile upgrades. Any career path wouldn't be complete without an ultimate goal. You would like to become the new dynasty on the heavenly seat. How would you achieve this without breaking the cycle? Well, we've turned to existing mechanics to represent this. We're creating a new variant of the Prime Ministership diarchy to go alongside the existing Vizier, called the Grand Secretariat. The regent in this is called the Secretary Director and will be responsible for the administrative work of the Son of Heaven, keeping the ministers busy throughout new mandates. The scales of power will provide them a way to stage a coup, just as for the Vizier. What's unique about this type of regency is that it is tied to the Grand Chancellor Minister by a new realm law, available only for the Celestial Government. This law makes it flexible and allows it to be changed to follow other ministers instead. Now, leaving China for a moment, we can discuss more details about the upcoming border warfare system. First, imagine two scenarios. In the first, a conqueror is rampaging nearby and swallowing lands that you have claims on, so you are left with three options: murder them, fight head-on, or roll over and die. In the second, you've restored Rome again, and you didn't choose the hard option again. Now you are out of challenges and can either get to tediously conquer the world or start a new Roman restoration run. We wanted to make both of these scenarios more interesting, so that living next to a powerful realm is not miserable, while playing as one is still challenging. So, let us introduce the new Border Policy Realm Law, which will simulate that the top liege is busy with courtly matters in the capital, and won't pay attention to insignificant wars over backwater counties far away. This allows characters to declare wars on vassals of that liege and forbids the top liege from intervening for 3 years. This will make larger realms less safe and stable. Keeping your peripheral vassals weak will make them easy targets for neighboring rulers to attack and defeat them before their top liege can respond. Your vassals should manage this long without your help, right? Or you can win a war yourself before the Emperor of China realizes what you were doing in his backyard. This law is enabled automatically based on set triggers. At least one of the following triggers needs to be true for this law to toggle. The top liege is hegemony tier. The realm size is larger than 160. The top liege's house unity is antagonistic, or the top liege is in a civil war. Any of these conditions being true will toggle the border warfare law. Now, going back to China, let's introduce you to a new activity intended for the dynastic cycle: debates. Debates allow you, a member of a movement in the dynastic cycle, to either seize leadership of your movement or duke it out scholar style with another member to become the dynastic cycle's favored movement. The events in this activity are all about the interplay between existing movements, as well as about gaining disciples or an elder to support you in your meritorious journey. Speaking of merit, the examinations are your be-all and end-all for accumulating this resource. This is most true for landless administrators. With the latest rework to the activity, you can now attend an exam while landed for the purpose of helping your family and disciples to take their exams. The different exam levels have been further fleshed out as well, with the provincial examination now being its own activity. This is available to host for all governments that utilize merit. The naming convention has been changed from Imperial examinations to Civil Service examinations, which is how they will be referenced henceforth. Since we've created a lot of character art for China and Japan, we have been asked repeatedly what we are doing for Southeast Asia in turn. We can share now that we are adding a set of clothes and headgear for both men and women within our present scope, and these will be based primarily on the Khmer Empire's attire. These outfits and headgear will be based on some amazing preserved examples, as well as sculptural and relief depictions from the ruins of Angkor in present-day Cambodia. Shown on screen now is an example of a work-in-progress crown for female rulers. The abundance of detail makes working with these a dream come true for 3D artists, or a nightmare if you're on a tight deadline. On top of the overall improvements to East Asian ethnicities and the addition of Chinese, Japanese, and Korean ethnicities, we are including new ethnicities for mainland Southeast Asia as well as the islands. Some work has also been done on base head textures and render settings, which should help to improve character appearances all over the map. Now, let's talk about a new coded system that we are implementing for Wanua Government in All Under Heaven: bartering. Now, before anyone gets ahead of themselves, let's be clear. This is not a trade system. Rather, it is a unique mechanic that we've made for Wanua characters to reflect the historical merchants of the region. All values in the screenshots we're showing in this section will change as we balance the feature further ahead of release. Wanua characters will be able to raise a bartering army that can go barter with other characters on the map. When arriving in a barony that has loot, bartering armies exchange their barter goods for that barony's loot. Barter goods being a new currency for Wanua characters. That barony then gets a timed modifier reducing its available loot to 0, but increasing other metrics such as development. Upon returning home, the bartering army exchanges their loot for gold. This system is the primary way that Wanua characters will earn gold. Most of their buildings, vassals, and tributaries do not provide gold income, but instead provide barter goods. Men-at-arms will cost gold to recruit, but barter goods to maintain. Raiding armies are hostile to bartering armies outside of the latter's home realm and can engage with them in combat in order to seize their loot. The bartering system is unlocked by a new government rule, which can be added to any government should modders wish to do so. In tandem with that, there are a slew of new defines and script support, including triggers, effects, and on-actions that are available to customize the system. Even though we're working mainly on the eastern parts of the world in All Under Heaven, we have a UI update for administrative windows that will change all administrative realms, including Byzantium. In the window for administrative governments, we've reduced the size of the coded arms to make space for additional details, and we've also added a couple of shortcut buttons, such as changing the vassal directive. Opening a title's details here now lets you control its thematic army directly, which was previously possible only through the military view. The Noble Families tab looks fairly similar, with the addition of displaying the percent of counties the house is ruling over within the realm. Additionally, we've added a Your Family tab. This will be the window's primary tab when opened. Here, you can gain a quick overview of your family members and easily plan and manage their title appointments from each character's perspective. Previously, the only way was to first select a title and then scroll to your preferred candidate. And that's all we have to cover today. We hope you've enjoyed this brief look at some of the things we're currently working on for All Under Heaven. We'll be back on Thursday to discuss more about our other DLC coming out soon, Coronations, so be sure to check back then for a detailed breakdown. And as always, if you want to remain up to date with everything Crusader Kings III, then remember to subscribe to this channel and like the video. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.